The crowd at the animal auction was loud, until a German shepherd limped into the ring. Clear's throat, his fur was patchy, his leg wrapped in a blood-stained bandage, and his once bright eyes dimmed with pain. 200 to start, the auctioneer barked. No hands went up. People whispered, too old, too injured. Not worth it. The dog just stood there, trembling, but refusing to bow his head. The auctioneer tried again. 150. Still nothing. Minutes passed. The silence was unbearable. And then from the very back of the hall, a tiny voice broke through. I'll take him. Everyone turned. A little girl, no older than 8, stood on her tiptoes, her small hand raised high. No one knew who she was or why she'd do it, but what happened next would leave the entire crowd speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The smell of hay and dust filled the air as people crowded. The small-town livestock auction. Wooden benches creaked, voices murmured, and somewhere in the back, a loudspeaker crackled to life. Next up, one German shepherd, male, approximately 7 years old. The auctioneer's tone was casual, almost bored. But when the metal gate opened, the noise in the room faded. A large dog limped forward, his once strong frame trembling with each step. His left leg was wrapped in a dirty bandage, matted with dried blood. Scars lined his body, silent reminders of battles no one here cared to ask about. Whispers began. Looks like he's been through a war. Poor thing. Probably won't last long. But to the dog, the crowd didn't exist. He stood tall, head high, eyes steady, the way he once did. In service. For years, he had worn a badge on his collar. He had searched for missing children, stood beside officers in danger, and saved lives most people would never know about. Now abandoned and broken, he stood alone in a wooden ring waiting for anyone to see him as more than a burden. The auctioneer tapped the microphone. We'll start the bidding at 200. Silence. No. Hands went up. No one even looked at him. The auctioneer cleared his throat, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. $200. Anyone? The microphone crackled, his voice echoing through the silent barn. No one moved. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats, avoiding eye contact with the trembling dog in the center of the ring. His ears twitched at every sound. The scrape of a chair, the rustle of paper, the low, pitying whispers. He's limping. Probably not worth it. Poor thing, but he's just trouble now. The auctioneer tried again. All right, 150, 100. Come on, folks. Loyal breed, strong bloodline, still nothing. The dog's breathing grew heavier. He lifted his injured paw, trying to balance his weight, but the pain was too much. His eyes scanned the faces in front of him, searching for one sign of kindness. There was none. Someone in the back laughed quietly. Should just put him down. The words hit like a bullet. The dog flinched, lowering his head. For the first time, he looked defeated. A soldier realizing the world had already forgotten his battles. The auctioneer sighed, ready to move on. All right. Then, no takers. He reached for the microphone switch. And just as he was about to end the sale, a faint trembling voice broke through the silence. I'll take them. Every head in the room turned. At the very back, half hidden. Behind the wooden rail stood a small girl, no more than 8 years old. Her pink coat looked too big for her tiny frame, and her mittened hand trembled as she raised it higher. I said, "I'll take him." The auctioneer blinked, confused. "Sweetheart, this isn't a pet shop. You sure you know what you're saying?" The girl nodded firmly, her voice trembling. "But sure. Yes, sir. He needs someone." Her mother, sitting a few rows back, gasped and hurried forward. "Lily, sit down, honey. You don't understand." But the girl didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the German shepherd in the ring. For the first time, the dog looked up, his ears perked slightly, his body tense. Something about that tiny voice, that gentle tone, broke through the fog of fear and pain. He stared at her as if trying to remember something long forgotten, something pure. The crowd began murmuring, "Whose kid is that? Does she even have money?" The auctioneer hesitated. "Ma'am, she can't." But Lily tugged gently at her mother's sleeve. "Mom, please. He's sad. Everyone's laughing, but he's not bad. He just wants to go home." Her mother froze, speechless, and as the little girl stepped closer to the ring, the injured dog took one uncertain step toward her, his tail moving for the first time that night. The entire room froze. The auctioneer stared at the little girl, his gavel hovering midair. He asked softly, "You're making the bid?" Lily nodded, her eyes never leaving the dog. "Yes, sir." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. "She can't be serious. Where are her parents? This isn't a joke." Her mother stepped forward, flustered. "I'm sorry she didn't." But the auctioneer raised a hand. "Ma'am, the bid stands. Unless she takes it back." Lily's small voice cut through the noise. "I won't." For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Even the dog stood perfectly still, his ears twitching toward her. Then, as if sensing something pure and familiar, he limped closer to the edge of the ring. His eyes, once dull, began to glisten with life. The auctioneer swallowed hard. "Well then, sold." The gavel hit the block with a sharp crack. A wave of emotion rolled through the room. The girl smiled faintly, tears shining in her eyes. The German shepherd took another weak step forward, lowering his head as if to bow to her. For the first time all night, there was no pity in the air, only silence and a quiet kind of respect. The little girl hadn't just made a bid. She had made a promise. The auctioneer stepped aside as the little girl approached the ring. The crowd was silent now, every pair of eyes watching. Lily moved slowly, her small boots echoing on the wooden floor. The dog stood trembling, head lowered, uncertain. For a long moment they just looked at each other, two souls broken, in different ways, both searching for something they didn't have anymore. "It's okay," she whispered, kneeling. "You don't have to be scared." The German shepherd took a step forward, his nose twitching as he caught her scent. His body relaxed slightly. He leaned closer, pressing his forehead gently against her knee. A gesture so simple, yet so full of trust that several people in the crowd wiped their eyes. The auctioneer cleared his throat, struggling to speak. You can take him, sweetheart." Her mother knelt beside her, tears streaming. "Lily, why him?" The little girl smiled softly, brushing her hand through the dog's ragged fur. "Because Mom, Daddy said his partner never came home. I think this was him." Gasps rippled through the room. The old officer's badge still hung, faintly from the dog's worn collar. In that instant, the truth settled over everyone like a warm, aching light. This wasn't just adoption. It was a reunion between a fallen hero's daughter and the loyal friend who never stopped waiting. As the final papers were signed, the crowd began to disperse, but no one left without wiping their eyes. The once-forgotten dog now stood proudly beside the little girl, his head resting near her shoulder, as if afraid to let her go. The auctioneer removed his hat, voice trembling. "Never seen anything like that in my life," he whispered. That dog found his family again. Outside, the late afternoon sun spilled over the dusty parking lot. Lily held the leash gently, though she didn't need to. The German shepherd walked beside her without hesitation. Her mother knelt beside her. "You did a brave thing today, sweetheart." Lily smiled faintly. "No, Mom. He's the brave one." He waited, even when nobody came. The dog turned his face toward hers and gave a small whine, pressing his head into her chest. For the first time in months, he looked alive, his tail wagging slowly, eyes soft and warm. As they walked away, the camera would fade on that image. A little girl and her father's dog, too, hearts mending the same wound, and the narrator's voice would close softly. Sometimes love doesn't find us in perfect places. It finds us in the broken ones and makes them whole.